Caracas, Venezuela is a city of stark contrasts and extreme inequality. In a valley between two mountain ranges, space is at a premium, and buildings rise higher and higher. While entire neighborhoods can be vertically located in bloques for the poor, the middle class live in a variety of edificios. It is here that my journey takes me, to a nation struggling in a war of media and images. During my stay, the almost daily demonstrations and events staged by the Chavez opposition were answered in kind by his supporters. Media coverage was intense, and every opportunity to critique the non-renewal of RCTV's concession was exploited and broadcast and analyzed. The response was always immediate, as both sides struggled for control of words, images, and their meanings. Chavez support is still strong. You can hardly find a red t-shirt in a store anywhere. Yet every night the opposition makes themselves heard through cacerolazos. Almost nightly, Chavez responds to accusations and machinations of the opposition, an opposition with a powerful media and middle-class base. But the grassroots support still backs this president and forgives his errors in the hopes that he will help better their lives. It is in this context that I met with the members of the Colectivo Alexis Vive Accionar, who were putting aside their guns to develop their social justice face. 23 de Enero is a neighborhood famous for directing coups and anti-establishment activity. They live in the bloques, buildings built in the late 50s to house huge numbers of poor. The elevators stop every fourth floor, where corridors as wide as streets lead to stairwells that in turn lead to apartments A to Z. This neighborhood, protected and cared for by the collective, is like a shrine to Che Guevara, and famous for its murals covering just about every available wall. My tour of the murals included stories about their histories and lives. A pool that once had trees growing out of it has been recovered through the voluntary labor of the collective and commemorated with a mural. The masked figure presides over a spot where people used to dump garbage. Since the mural appeared, the garbage has disappeared. This mural was photographed and the photographer won an award, but nothing came to the collective. Slogans and songs accompany the image of the face and the covered face. Hope is palpable, as a member describes the clinic run by Cubans as part of a mission to install one in every poor neighborhood. The story of Clay, a 20-year-old gunned down in that very parking lot by thieves, is kept alive in the murals and minds of his companions. We met in the collective's headquarters, and I showed them my presentation and expressed some of the ideas I had around the image. I asked them what the image was doing in their neighborhood and on their insignia, and why and how they had chosen it, and what power it had. I have to confess they were very patient with me and tried to educate me as much as I would permit. I realize now that I was overly focused on my own questions. They explained how formation in their collective involved reading about what Guevara stood for, his theory of the new man and woman, ideas of praxis, voluntary labor, and anti-capitalist stance. That it was more than just an image for them. It was a frontier. The decision to use the image was made in an assembly, just as the decisions to accept or reject mural proposals are voted on by the entire collective. For Merleau-Ponty, the meaning of the world is not constituted on the model of a textual reading. Rather, anterior to any intellectual process, the body schema both encodes and decodes the world as a meaningful structure. We are always already surrounded by meaning. Merleau-Ponty's oblique hermeneutics is a hermeneutics of ambiguity and may be seen by focusing on the concept of perspective. He proposes a hermeneutics in which truth is not found, but brought into being, just as the members of this collective, through their actions, bring their truths into being and see themselves both reflected in Guevara's face and projected through their creative visioning.